Stay with us until the end, because the last story might just be the most unsettling of them all. A message sent from beyond that challenges our understanding of both technology and the afterlife. We'll begin with a ghost who solved its own murder, a case so bizarre and well documented that it ended up in court. In the late 19th century, a small town in West Virginia became the center of one of the most bizarre murder cases ever recorded. A case that would forever be remembered for its unsettling paranormal twist. The victim was a young woman named Zona Heister Shue, but the way her murder was uncovered is what truly defied explanation. It wasn't a witness who revealed the truth. It wasn't even circumstantial evidence. The murder was solved, according to many, by a ghost. In 1897, Zona Heister Shue was found dead in her home under strange circumstances. At the time, her death was initially ruled as everlasting faint, a vague and ambiguous term often used in cases where the true cause of death was unclear or could not be easily explained. Her husband, Edward Shue, seemed devastated by her sudden passing, insisting on managing every detail of her funeral. He even went so far as to prevent anyone from handling Zona's body during the viewing, particularly guarding her neck. His overly protective behavior raised suspicions, but in the absence of clear evidence, the matter was left alone, at least for a time. However, Zona's mother, Mary Jane Heister, was not convinced that her daughter had died of natural causes. Her instincts told her something far more sinister had taken place, and soon she began claiming that Zona's spirit was visiting her from beyond the grave. Over the course of 4 consecutive nights, Mary Jane claimed that her daughter's ghost appeared to her in a series of vivid dreams, revealing a horrifying truth. Edward had murdered her by snapping her neck in a fit of rage. Deeply disturbed but utterly convinced by these supernatural encounters, Mary Jane took her story to the local prosecutor, John Alfred Preston. Though skeptical, Preston agreed to investigate further, reopening the case and ordering Zona's body to be exhumed for a proper autopsy. What they discovered left little room for doubt. Zona's neck had indeed been broken, just as Mary Jane had claimed. The autopsy also revealed that her windpipe had been crushed, and there were distinct finger marks on her throat, indicating strangulation. With this newfound evidence, Edward Shue was arrested and charged with the murder of his wife. While the court did not officially accept the ghost's testimony as valid evidence, Mary Jane's account undeniably swayed public opinion and may have played a part in securing Shue's conviction. In the end, Edward was found guilty of murder and sentenced to life in prison. This story stands as one of the rare instances in legal history where paranormal evidence, whether directly admitted or not, had a real impact on the outcome of a case. Whether it was through dreams, intuition, or something far stranger, Zona's truth was revealed. And her killer was brought to justice in one of the most unusual ways imaginable. If you think a ghost solving their own murder is disturbing, the next case may unsettle you even more. Imagine receiving a phone call from a loved one who has just passed away, a call that defies all logic and leaves you questioning the boundaries of life and death. That's exactly what happened to the family of Charles Peck, a man who perished in a tragic accident, but whose phone wouldn't stop ringing, even after he was confirmed dead. On September 12, 2008, Los Angeles witnessed one of the deadliest train accidents in California's history. A Metrolink commuter train, Metrolink 111, collided head-on with a Union Pacific freight train in the Chatsworth district. The collision killed 25 people and injured more than 100 others. Among the victims was a 49-year-old man named Charles Peck, who was on his way to Los Angeles for a job interview at a regional airport. His fiancée, Andrea Katz, waited anxiously for his arrival, not knowing that he had already perished in the crash. But what followed in the hours after the tragedy was something no one could have anticipated. Charles's cell phone began to make calls to his loved ones. In total, over 35 calls were made from Charles' phone in the 11 hours following the accident. The calls were made to his fiancée, his son, his brother, his sister, and even his stepmother. Each time, the recipient would answer the call only to be met with silence or static on the other end. No one could understand what was happening. His fiancée and family shared the information with the authorities, urging them to keep searching for him. Rescue workers, clinging to the possibility that Charles might still be alive, followed the signal from his phone, combing through the twisted metal and debris of the crash site. Tragically, their search did not lead to a miraculous rescue. At 12:35 a.m., Charles Peck's body was found. The coroner later determined that Charles had died on impact, which meant that the calls had been made after he was already deceased. Investigators looked into the incident, but no technical explanation was found for the repeated phone calls. The final call was made at 3:28 a.m., and after that, the phone went silent. For Charles's loved ones, the phone calls felt like more than just a glitch. They interpreted them as a final goodbye from a man who could no longer speak. While some have suggested that the calls could be explained by technical errors within the cellular network, others have been left to wonder whether this was an instance of a more profound, unexplainable phenomenon. The family chose to believe that Charles, in some way, was trying to reach out to them to provide comfort in his final moments. The National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, investigated the crash, later concluding that it had been caused by human error. The Metrolink engineer had missed a red light signal because he was distracted by texting, leading to the fatal collision. Yet, despite the technical investigation into the cause of the crash, the phone calls from Charles Peck's number remain unexplained. No malfunctions in the cellular network were identified, and phone records confirmed the calls were made after Charles had died. It stands out not just because of the tragic circumstances surrounding the crash, but because the calls came from a modern piece of technology, a cell phone, a device we rely on for clear logical communication. Whether it was a technical anomaly or something beyond our understanding, the chilling voicemail of Charles Peck continues to puzzle and intrigue people to this day. As we continue our exploration of disturbing messages from beyond, we turn next to the story of James L. Chaffin, a man whose death led to a shocking posthumous revelation through a dream, altering the course of his family's inheritance. In 1921, a quiet farming family in North Carolina found themselves at the center of an extraordinary legal case involving a ghostly message that would change their lives forever. The case revolved around James L. Chaffin, a farmer who had passed away in 1921, leaving behind a will that dictated how his estate would be distributed among his family. James Chaffin had written a will in 1905 that left the bulk of his estate to his third son, John Chaffin, leaving his other three sons with almost nothing. The will was legally binding and had been accepted by the family as the final word on James' wishes. However, 4 years after his death, a shocking revelation would alter the course of the family's inheritance. And it all began with a dream. James's second son, James L. Chaffin Jr., began having strange, recurring dreams in 1925. In these dreams, he claimed that his father appeared to him, wearing the same old black coat that he had often worn in life. In each dream, James Sr. spoke to his son, urging him to look inside the pocket of this coat, where he would find something important. At first, James Jr. was puzzled and dismissed the dreams as just his mind playing tricks on him. However, after the dream continued to recur, James Jr. decided to act. He located the old coat, which had been stored away since his father's passing, and carefully examined it. To his astonishment, hidden in the inside pocket of the coat was a small folded piece of paper, a note written by his father that referenced a second will, which had been written in 1919, just 2 years before James Sr.'s death. This second will, when found, changed everything. In it, James L. Chaffin Sr. had divided his estate equally among all 4 of his sons, a much fairer distribution than the original 1905 will. The note in the coat even detailed the specific location of the second will, which was discovered in the family Bible. The Bible had been in the possession of James Jr.'s mother, and when the will was found, it was dated and signed by James Sr. in 1919, making it legally binding and superseding the previous will. The existence of the second will was undeniable, and experts confirmed that the signature on it was indeed James L. Chaffin Sr. The story of James L. Chaffin and his ghostly message through a dream captured the public's imagination and made headlines at the time. What made this case so remarkable wasn't just the existence of the second will, but how it came to light. For James Jr., the repeated dreams were more than just a figment of his imagination. He firmly believed that his father had reached out from beyond the grave to set things right. In the end, the dreams, the hidden will, and the signature in the family Bible all aligned in a way that defied logical explanation. To this day, the story of the Chaffin family's ghostly revelation continues to captivate and mystify those who hear it. As we move forward, the next story will take us into darker territory, one of the most famous cases of poltergeist activity in American history. The Bell Witch haunting terrified a family for years, with disturbing messages that seemed to come from an invisible, malevolent force. But unlike the Chaffin case, these messages brought only fear and chaos. The Bell Witch haunting is one of the most documented cases of poltergeist activity in American history. The events, which occurred between 1817 and 1821, centered around the Bell family, who lived in Adams, Tennessee, in what was then known as Red River. The haunting is not merely folklore, it is supported by eyewitness testimonies and written accounts, including those from prominent figures of the time. John Bell, a respected farmer and landowner, lived with his wife Lucy and their children. The trouble began in 1817 when John Bell encountered a strange animal in his cornfield, an animal described as having the body of a dog and the head of a rabbit. Shortly after this incident, the family began hearing strange noises inside their home. Knocking on the walls, scratching sounds, and chains being dragged across the floors. The activity escalated over the next few months. What made the Bell Witch haunting particularly terrifying was the entity's ability to speak. It reportedly introduced itself as Kate, claiming to be the spirit of Kate Batts, a local woman who had died years earlier. Batts had allegedly been wronged by John Bell in a land dispute, and the spirit seemed determined to exact revenge. Over time, the entity became more vocal, engaging in conversations with visitors, delivering cryptic messages, and even singing hymns. One of the most famous visitors to the Bell household was Andrew Jackson, the military general who would later become the 7th President of the United States. In 1819, Jackson and his men visited the Bell farm, curious about the rumors of supernatural activity. According to historical accounts, Jackson's men experienced bizarre phenomena during their stay. Jackson allegedly remarked, "I'd rather fight the British at New Orleans than to deal with the Bell Witch." In 1820, John Bell began experiencing mysterious health issues, including episodes of facial swelling and a strange tingling sensation in his mouth. His health deteriorated rapidly, and on December 20th, 1820, he died after falling into a coma. The Bell family found a small vial of strange liquid near John's bedside, which the witch allegedly claimed was used to poison him. The Bell Witch haunting continued for several months after his passing, but by 1821, the activity had largely subsided. What makes the Bell Witch case unique is the sheer number of witnesses who reported experiencing the phenomena. Several written accounts of the haunting exist, including the book An Authenticated History of the Bell Witch, written by Martin Van Buren Ingram in 1894. Even today, the legend of the Bell Witch persists, with the area around the Bell farm considered by many to be haunted. The Bell Witch Cave, located near the former Bell farm, has become a popular tourist destination for those interested in paranormal history. Whether it was a vengeful spirit or a manifestation of collective hysteria, the Bell Witch haunting remains one of the most enduring mysteries in American folklore. As unsettling as the Bell Witch haunting was, our final story delves into more modern territory, a case of eerie emails sent from beyond the grave. In the next story, we explore how technology has made it possible for the dead to reach out to the living in ways that defy logic. Stay tuned for the chilling tale of Jack Froese, a man whose friends began receiving emails from him months after his death. In June 2011, a 32-year-old man named Jack Froese passed away suddenly from a heart arrhythmia. His death came as a shock to his family and friends, who had no idea he had any serious health issues. Jack was known for his sense of humor and his close relationships with those around him, but no one could have predicted what would happen in the months after his passing, when Jack seemingly began sending emails from beyond the grave. Several months after Jack's death, one of his best friends, Tim Hart, received an email from Jack's account. The subject line read, "I'm watching," and the message inside was enough to send a chill down Tim's spine. It referenced a conversation the two had shared before Jack's death about the clutter in Tim's attic. He had no reason to believe anyone else had access to Jack's email account, and the reference to their private conversation about the attic was too specific to be a coincidence. Tim even admitted that he and Jack had talked about how Jack would haunt him if he ever died unexpectedly, but receiving the email was a surreal and unsettling experience. Another friend, Jimmy McGraw, received an email from Jack's account around the same time. Jimmy had injured his ankle shortly after Jack's death, and the email he received was equally eerie. The message read, "Hey Jim, how are you doing? I knew you were going to break your ankle, tried to warn you, gotta be careful." Both Tim and Jimmy were deeply disturbed by these emails, but neither believed they were sent with malicious intent. In fact, both men felt that the emails were Jack's way of reaching out to them one last time, perhaps offering comfort or keeping his promise to haunt them. Jack's email account was secured by a password, and no one knew who could have accessed it. Several theories have been proposed to explain the emails. Some people suggested that a hacker might have gained access to Jack's account and sent the messages as a cruel joke. To this day, no one has come forward to claim responsibility for sending the emails. While it's possible for an email account to be hacked, no concrete evidence was ever found to support this theory. Additionally, most email platforms send alerts when a user's account is accessed from an unfamiliar location or device, yet no such notifications were reported in this case. Tim Hart, in particular, described Jack's sense of humor as unique, and he believed that if anyone could find a way to reach out from beyond the grave with a joke, it would be Jack. While skeptics continue to search for a rational explanation, Jack Froze's case stands out because of the personal nature of the messages. These weren't generic emails or spam. They contained specific private information that only Jack and his friends would know. For Tim, Jimmy, and the others who received the emails, the mystery remains unsolved. As we conclude this journey through disturbing messages from beyond the grave, with each story we've covered, from ghostly dreams to eerie phone calls, the line between life and death seems less defined. Whether through technology, supernatural intervention, or some other means, these stories remind us that death might not always be the end of the conversation. Thank you for watching. If you've made it this far, we hope these stories have given you plenty to think about, and maybe even a few chills along the way. From ghostly messages to eerie emails, these real-life accounts challenge our understanding of life, death, and the mysteries that lie in between. For those of you who are already subscribed to the channel, we appreciate your ongoing support. It's your engagement that keeps us digging up these fascinating stories and sharing them with you. Thank you for being part of our community. If you're not yet subscribed, now's the perfect time to join us. We've got plenty more eerie stories, unsolved mysteries, and chilling real-life cases coming up, and you won't want to miss out. Just hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you're the first to know when we post something new. Also, let us know in the comments which story creeped you out the most. Was it the haunted emails, the ghost solving its own murder, or something else? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks again for watching, and remember, sometimes the strangest stories are the ones that are true. See you in the next video.